This is our first look at Rebecca Ferguson's Lady Jessica. So she's definitely been on Arrakis a good long while, and obviously this is after her status as the Reverend Mother. She has successfully transformed the waters. All these experiences on Arrakis kind of showing on her face. So in regards to Lady Jessica's character, the Vanity Fair article says, reprising her original role as Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, Chalamet's mother and protector. As a member of the religious sisterhood known as the Bene Gesserit, Lady Jessica believes in the prophecy that her son will become a powerful liberator for the galaxy. In the first movie, as the concubine of Oscar Isaac's Duke Leto Atreides, Lady Jessica often appeared in ornate and ceremonial outfits, befitting her position and class. In the second movie, she is a grim and hardscrabble presence. Denis Villeneuve says she lost everything. She is a survivor like her son Paul, and she has to strategize how to accomplish her ambition. It's a really beautiful and nicely complex character. The description for this picture says, Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, the mother and protector of Paul Atreides, marked with lines of prophecy. If you're curious of what these tattoos, these markings mean, the lines of prophecy, so most likely the Fremen prophecies that they have of the Savior who will lead them to paradise, the Mahdi, the Lisan al-Gaib. And the fact that they paint those prophecies on the Reverend Mothers themselves, that's kind of a cool choice there to show how deeply ingrained it is into their religion, their culture. And these aren't Reverend Mothers for the Fremen, they're the spiritual leaders of the tribes and very highly respected. So again, another visual way to kind of differentiate and make Denis Villeneuve's adaptation distinct itself. So I like this. I like this choice. Denis Villeneuve goes on to talk more about the tattoos. That ambition is to obsessively work toward fulfilling the prophecy that the Bene Gesserit have been trying to engineer for eons. This work is now marked on her face. Denis Villeneuve says, those tattoos are linked with the prophecy. We see that there's a darkness, a very specific darkness in her eyes. Lady Jessica is one of the masterminds of Dune. She's trying to play her own agenda. The meaning of that look would be unveiled in part 2. So yes, the Bene Gesserit, one of the major points of their agenda is this religious engineering effort. And on Arrakis, it was probably way more than they ever expected it as far as how deeply their missionary protectiva ran through the culture of the Fremen. And it's surprised Lady Jessica too, how deeply the seeding of these myths and legends, how deeply it was ingrained into the Fremen, and how easy it was basically to ingrain themselves or to put themselves into those roles of the prophecy of Lady Jessica and her son. So the prophesied Mahdi was known to them to be a son of a Bene Gesserit, the voice from the outer world, the one who would lead them to paradise. So they were perfectly prepared to believe in Paul being the Mahdi, their savior. And that's just part of the Bene Gesserit agenda as a whole for these different peoples to be prepared to readily accept their Kwisatz Haderach, the ruler that would work for them, how they wanted the future of humanity to go. Denis Villeneuve, again, just demonstrating he has a good firm grasp on the different factions, all these other things at play within the story of Dune. For Lady Jessica too, it's not just working towards the Bene Gesserit agenda, because obviously she made a choice to have a son. So it's not just that, it's also she wants Paul to live up to the legacy of House Atreides. And that will also kind of cause some friction between her and Chani and Paul, because she's also looking out for him to live up to the Duke's legacy. And obviously, yes, they're focusing more on the Bene Gesserit aspect of it. But I think there's going to be more to it. But in speaking about this particular image, what the significance of the tattoos are, they're focusing on that. There's comments later down in this article that focus on Chani and Lady Jessica and kind of the friction between those two things. And I think most of that comes from what she wants for her son. Yes, she wants that realization, but she also loves her Duke and loves what he stood for, and she wants her son to live up to that legacy as well. So it's kind of like that dual thing. I mean, but she has a different view of the Bene Gesserit agenda than the Reverend Mother Mohiam. This is her son. She's got a lot of different feelings about it. And again, that just works towards the complexity of this character and why she's one of the most well-written female characters. She actually became one of my favorites of Dune upon like subsequent rereadings, or I think as I got older actually. When I first read the story of Dune, Paul was my favorite character because I related a lot to his journey in a lot of ways at that age. Very similar in age to Paul, and so there's a lot to relate to, I think, at that time. But as I got older too, and on subsequent rereadings, I find myself relating more to Gertie and Lady Jessica. So that's another cool thing too, that as you revisit a story, especially a story like this that's so deep and complex, there's some things that wouldn't have touched you as it did before when you first read it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.